Michael Okafor never expected to receive an invitation to the wedding of the woman who once shattered his heart. Cynthia had abandoned him for a richer man, claiming he wasn't ambitious enough. Now, years later, he was a self-made millionaire, more successful than she ever imagined. But instead of ignoring the insult, he decided to attend, with a date no one would see coming. A homeless woman, Amaka. What started as a simple act of defiance would turn into a night no one would ever forget. Because when Amaka stepped into that wedding, she didn't just turn heads, she changed everything. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe for more teachable and inspiring folk tales by FE. Michael gripped the microphone firmly, his eyes sweeping across the sea of stunned faces. The hall, moments ago buzzing with laughter and celebration, was now eerily quiet, everyone leaning in to catch his next words. His expression was calm, almost amused, as though he had been waiting patiently for this exact moment. He glanced briefly at Cynthia, who stood frozen beside her new husband, her painted smile faltering under the weight of tension. "Good evening, everyone," Michael began, his voice smooth and clear. "I must say, it's quite something to be here today, witnessing such a grand celebration." A few uneasy chuckles rippled through the audience, but the air was thick with curiosity and unease. "For those of you who may not know, Cynthia and I have a bit of history," he continued, turning slightly toward her, eyes gleaming with something between amusement and quiet retribution. "A few years ago, she told me I wasn't ambitious enough for her taste. She moved on to greener pastures." The words hung in the air like a slap, and Cynthia's cheeks flushed visibly, her eyes darting nervously around as the crowd whispered feverishly. Her new husband, previously beaming with pride, now stiffened, his smile strained and eyes narrowing in suspicion. Michael paused, savoring the moment. "Well," he said, stepping forward slightly, "life has a funny way of playing out. While I was working on my lack of ambition, I happened to come across an interesting business opportunity. Some of you may be familiar with the company where Cynthia's wonderful new husband holds quite an important position." His gaze now locked onto the man who shifted uncomfortably, a sheen of sweat starting to appear on his forehead. Michael's smile widened just a fraction, his voice still measured and calm, but carrying an undeniable punch. "I'm pleased to announce that as of last month, I became the majority shareholder. In simple terms, I now own the company." Gasps filled the hall, loud and sharp, as if the entire room had exhaled at once. Heads turned, hands covered mouths, and camera phones quickly rose to capture the unfolding drama. Cynthia's husband's face drained of colour, his posture rigid, his eyes boring into Michael with disbelief and growing panic. Michael let the silence linger, the weight of his words sinking deep into every corner of the room. Cynthia clutched her husband's arm, her perfectly composed world crumbling visibly in front of their guests. The tables had turned in a way no one had expected, and the once triumphant bride and her husband were left exposed under the harsh spotlight of humiliation. Michael lowered the microphone slightly, allowing the murmurs and gasps to continue swirling through the crowd. His eyes never left Cynthia and her husband, watching their reactions with quiet satisfaction. He didn't need to say much more. The message had been delivered, sharp and clear. Cynthia's hand trembled as she clutched her husband's arm, her once glowing face now pale and drawn. The shock was too much to hide. Her eyes darted around the room, desperate to gauge the reactions of the high-profile guests she had so proudly invited. Everywhere she looked, people were whispering, phones were raised discreetly, and all the attention that had once been hers now centered on her humiliation. The smile she tried to muster came out as a tight grimace, her breathing shallow as she clung to the hope that this was some kind of twisted joke. Her husband, equally stunned, stood stiffly by her side, his jaw clenched as he forced a strained smile, trying to maintain the appearance of control. But his eyes betrayed him, flicking nervously toward Michael, searching for any sign that there was still a way to salvage the moment. The reality hit hard. His job, his reputation, everything he had boasted about was now at the mercy of the man he had underestimated. The guests, emboldened by the unfolding drama, gossiped openly now. Some huddled together, whispering furiously, while others brazenly recorded videos, eager to be the first to share the scandal. The atmosphere had shifted completely. What was meant to be Cynthia's perfect day had spiraled into a public spectacle of downfall and disgrace. Michael stood calmly, hands in his pockets, watching it all with quiet satisfaction. His expression was unreadable, but there was a sharp glint in his eyes, a mixture of vindication and control. He didn't gloat, didn't say another word. He simply let the moment stretch out, every second deepening the weight of Cynthia and her husband's humiliation. The tables had turned so effortlessly, and now the world could see exactly who held the real power. Michael turned toward Amaka, his expression softening as he reached for her hand. The room, still thick with whispers and stares, quieted again, sensing another twist was coming. "And now," Michael began, his voice clear and steady, "I want to talk about this incredible woman standing beside me." He glanced at Amaka with genuine pride. Amaka is the true definition of strength and resilience. Life tried to break her, but she refused to stay down. Today she stands here not just as my guest, but as a woman who has fought her way back with dignity. Gasps rippled through the crowd as Michael continued. "To honor that strength, I've set up a business in her name, a fully operational company that will allow her to chart her own path forward. This is just the beginning for her." Amaka's eyes widened in disbelief, her hand instinctively covering her mouth as the realization sank in. She looked at Michael, tears welling up, but her posture remained upright, her shoulders back, refusing to let emotion overpower her in front of so many people. The guests, who had initially dismissed her as a mysterious outsider, now watched with admiration. Their murmurs shifted from curiosity to genuine respect, and a few even clapped quietly, moved by her journey. Amaka breathed deeply, gathering herself before offering Michael a gracious smile. She nodded politely to the room, her presence glowing with a quiet confidence that made her transformation undeniable. In that moment, the spotlight fully left Cynthia. No one cared about the expensive gown or the high-profile marriage anymore. Amaka's poise and humility commanded the room, and her triumph became the story everyone wanted to remember. While Cynthia stood frozen in the wreckage of her ruined fairy tale, Amaka emerged as the true queen of the night, graceful, empowered, and finally seen for who she was meant to be. Cynthia stood rooted to the spot, her face pale and her eyes glassy with disbelief. All the admiration and envy she had craved at her wedding had crumbled into silent judgment and open pity. Guests she had once charmed now whispered about her downfall, their gazes flicking between her forced smile and the exit where Michael and Amaka were now heading. Her husband's stiff posture and clenched jaw only deepened the humiliation, making it clear that her perfect day had turned into an unforgettable disaster. Outside the grand venue, the night air felt cool and refreshing. Amaka paused at the steps, taking in a deep breath, her chest rising as if she were finally free. She looked back briefly at the glowing lights of the wedding hall, her mind spinning through the whirlwind of events that had led her here. From sleeping rough on the streets to standing proud in a designer gown, her dignity restored and her future secured. She exhaled slowly, her eyes shining with a mixture of disbelief and quiet triumph. Michael stepped beside her, watching her silently. They didn't need words. The weight of what had just happened was written clearly across both their faces. He gave her a small smile, one that spoke of respect and something deeper, an unspoken bond that had grown through shared pain and unexpected hope. Amaka met his gaze, her lips curving into a grateful, knowing smile. In that instant, it was clear. Their connection wasn't just about revenge or charity. It was about two people who had faced betrayal and hardship and found strength in lifting each other up. Without another word, they walked side by side toward the car, leaving behind the noise and spectacle. As they drove off into the night, the camera lingered on the wedding hall, where the glow of the event seemed dimmer now, hollow and empty. Justice had been served, and redemption claimed its place. For Cynthia and her crumbling fairy tale, the night was over. But for Michael and Amaka, a new chapter, one of purpose, respect, and unexpected partnership, was only just beginning. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more teachable and inspiring folktales, Beefy.